Welcome to the Chemistry Live channel. In today medicinal chemistry lecture, we have to discuss about the mode of action of 4-aminoquinoline, 8-aminoquinoline and pyrimidine. So without wasting more time, let's jump into our main focus or main topic, which is mode of action of 4-aminoquinoline. So let's begin with the mode of action. So mode of action is also called mechanism of action, and here we have learned 4-aminoquinoline, 8-aminoquinoline and pyrimidine mode of action. So first begin with the mode of action of 4-aminoquinoline. The 4-aminoquinoline drug. Here, as we discussed in our previous lecture, the fourth position carbon, it has amino group is here. So that is called 4-aminoquinoline. The definition itself says a drug having an amino group at C4 position in quinoline ring. We already discussed it in previous lecture. In the next slide, we will see number of position changes in R1. So here we see the chloroquine, hydroxychloroquine, amodiaquine and santoquine. In that the R1 position is here, it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 carbon. Here the R1 position is 1, 2, 3, 4. So all carbon positions like except the amodiaquine have the 5 carbon with side chain. And here only the changes in that santoquine is the CH3 group. So what is the difference when you add CH3 group? What is the changes? We already discussed in the structure activity relationship. So without wasting more time, just quick jump to the mode of action of 4-aminoquinoline. So that is the 4-aminoquinoline drugs, whole like chloroquine, hydroxychloroquine, amodiaquine and santoquine. There is a structure of that drugs. The mode of action or mechanism of action is just based on the following hypothesis. The first is DNA interaction. The second is ferriprotoporphyrines. The third is weak base hypothesis. So first we take a look on the DNA interaction. So what is DNA interaction? The earliest proposal for the mechanism of the action of the quinine was suggest that the drug intercalated into the DNA of parasites. So what they did, the drug is actually intercalated with the DNA of parasite, and when it did it, it killed the parasite. The mechanism was soon discarded. It discarded soon, but why? What is the reason behind that? The reason is upon the fact that the concentration required for the inhibition of nucleic acid synthesis is significantly higher than the necessary of the inhibition of Plasmodium parasite. So the concentration what is required for the inhibition of nucleic acid synthesis is significantly higher than the necessary for the inhibition of Plasmodium parasite. In the second hypothesis is ferriprotoporphyrines. We have to take a deeper look on that one. Here also we have a 4 compound. I put the 4 compound because we have to take a look and then it is easy for us to understand. The Plasmodium parasite utilize the host hemoglobin as a source of amino acid. As a result, digestion of the hemoglobin, a substance referred to a hemozoin, is produced as a waste product. Hemoglobin to hemozoin. A constituent of hemozoin is the chemical substance ferriprotoporphyrin, which is unbound form is toxic to host and plasmodium cell, leading to lysis of the cell. So that FP9 is a toxic, or ferriprotoporphyrin is toxic for the host and the plasmodium cell which is lying in the cell. So normally FP9 is bounded to endogenous protein. In this bound form, it is non-toxic. If it is bound with endogenous protein, then it is non-toxic. So FP9 is bounded to the drug, but it complex retain toxicity towards the erythrocyte and parasites. Once again, there is evidence which argue against this proposed mode of action. So that is the evidence which argues against the mode of action. So in the third proposal, we have to see the weak base hypothesis. So what is the weak base hypothesis first? So see, this is our RBC. Okay, and this is a parasite. So this is a parasite, this is a RBC. Drug started first here. So the RBC has the pH 7.4 and drug also based chloroquine or another drug having a pH 7.4. This is a parasite lysosome having a pH 4.5 to 5.2. It means acidic. So we can take a look here. The 4 substitution quinoline are weak base, and because of the pK, they are tough to accumulate in a location which is acidic. Okay. So it's tough to accumulate a location which is acidic because the extracellular fluid of the parasite is at pH 7.4, and the weak base will move towards the more acidic pH. Obvious. So it start to move here to inside that parasite lysosome. What is the lysosome? We will discuss it later. I will show you whole the animal cell and we'll discuss the different part of that one, and from that we can get a more idea about that animal cell, lysosome, Golgi and all stuff. Once in the lysosome, the acid-base reaction occurred, elevating the parasite ability to digest the hemoglobin, so reducing the availability of amino acid. What happened if acid-base reaction occurs? It's elevate the parasite ability to digest the hemoglobin, and if it is so, then the availability of amino acid is reduced. That is the evidence which suggests us when the movement of weak base towards a more acidic media through a transport enzyme. This latter two mechanisms are not necessarily exclusive, yet neither of them entirely satisfactory. It is generally believed that 4-amino or 4 substituted quinolines or quinols are disrupt hemoglobin in a sensitive organism. They disrupt the hemoglobin. Which one? 4 substituted quinolines are the disrupt the hemoglobins. So now we will switch to the one image as I told you before. See here, typically this is the lysosome. What lysosome did actually, in the next slide we will see that in smooth manner. The number 1, as I mentioned here, the number 1 is nucleus. That is nucleus. There is nucleus and there is nucleus. Number 3 is a ribosome. Number 4 is a vessels. The number 5, this is number 5, this is rough endoplasmic reticulum. The number 6 is Golgi. This number 6 is a Golgi. Okay. Number 7 is a cytoskeleton. This is a cytoskeleton. Okay. The number 8 is endo or smooth endoplasmic reticulum. The number 9 is mitochondrion. The number 10 is vacuoles. Vacuoles means stomach. Okay. Stomach of the animal cell or stomach of the cell. That's called in simple manner. We have to say that. Number 11 is here, which is cytosol, the fluid that contain organelles comprising the cytoplasma, is a fluid of the whole the cell. Then number 12 I will already discuss, that is lysosome. What lysosome did we will discuss in the next slide. Number 13 is centrosome. This is centrosome. And the last is number 14, which is here, is cell membrane. This is cell membrane. So that is the animal cell, and this attribution towards the author who draw the image. I'll take it from the Wikipedia. Next, the slide is about the how lysosome work. Okay, so this is important part, and we take a look here, is easy for us to understand. Lysosome digests the material taken into the cell and recycle intracellular material. Okay, that is lysosome in the first step. In the first step, what happened? Material entering a food vacuole. Food vacuole means a stomach or the food pouch through a plasma membrane. So it comes through a plasma membrane. This is a plasma membrane. Comes through a plasma membrane. The food vacuole, a process known as a endocytosis. This is the endocytosis process. In step 2, lysosome with an active hydrolytic enzyme comes into the picture as the food vacuole moves away from the plasma membrane. So in 2, it is moved away from the plasma membrane. In step 3, consists of lysosome fusing with the food vacuole and hydrolytic enzyme entering into the food vacuole. So that is hydrolytic enzyme, and the hydrolytic enzyme entering to the food vacuole. And the final step, it means step 4, hydrolytic enzyme digests the food particles. So it digests the food particles. This is, and we shown here. So that is the role of lysosome in the animal cell. So if it attacks to the lysosome, pH, it disrupts that whole mechanism, the drug, the chloroquine, and it disrupts the mechanism, it means the cell is no more, it dead, or it died soon, because without food, no cell or nobody can live, even the cell as well. So next, there is also attribution toward by John Haves, who gives us good image in Wikipedia. Next, we are take a look the 8-aminoquinoline group. See, the 8-aminoquinoline nothing the same as 4-aminoquinoline, but here we have an amino group at that position 4 or carbon 8. So here, as we discussed previous in SAR section, we see that the changes almost only and only at R4 position. Okay, so take a quick glimpse of that stuff of the table here. So see here, it is the same is primaquine, Pamaquine, quinoside, pentaquine and isopentaquine. The positions are same. The changes is here only and only that R4. The changes is here see 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 carbon. Here the same 5 carbon in Pamaquine, but the changes is here that the amine, it is primary amine, it is tertiary amine. As well, if you see little bit down towards isopentaquine, the both are same, pentaquine, isopentaquine, but in that case there is a side chain here, there is also side chain, so side chain play important role, we'll seen previously in that one. So it's necessary to have a side chain, there is quinoside, there is also side chain. So that basically the SAR, okay. Why did we discuss? Because we have to refresh it and now start with the mode of action of that. So we have a lots of structure. While the mechanism of action of 8-aminoquinolines is unknown, it is known that primaquine can generate reductive oxygen species via auto-oxidation of 8-amino group. What primaquine generate? Primaquine generate the oxygen species. Which oxygen species? Like its free radical or something through the auto-oxidation of 8-amino group. So auto-oxidation, the 8-amino group, it's auto-oxidized and we get the stuff. For the auto-oxidation, there is one enzyme also required, and through that enzyme, it's auto-oxidase and it's converted to NO2. When it's converted to NO2, then start to the oxidize again and again. And when a free radical comes into place, so the formation of radical anions at 8 amino first, and then as a result, destructive oxidant. In cell, there is a destructive oxidant like hydrogen peroxide, superoxide, hydroxide radical can be formed. If it is formed once, it disrupt the whole the cell. So it means we can also kill our RBCs and also kill the parasites. That is a mode of action, glimpse of mode of action. So see here what happened. There is 8-aminoquinoline and that is our primaquine drug. So primaquine drug here got ArNO2 after the oxidation or enzyme oxidation. After the enzyme oxidation, if we get here somehow electron with some process, so here the free radical and negative charge generated. When it's contact with the oxygen which is available in the body, so it's form a superoxide and it's remove that positive ion or an cation over there. Superoxide is more toxic for cell. That superoxide again take an electron and also 2H which is removed from here and then form a hydrogen peroxide. It is dangerous. We write H2O2. It is dangerous for the body as well and cell particularly. That hydrogen oxide again convert into the hydrogen radical. So when hydrogen oxide convert into the hydrogen radical, then it is difficult to be lied in this. Now we will see the another mode of action, pyrimidine analogous. So as we are aware, pyrimidine has a 2 nitrogen atom in the benzene ring. This is called pyrimidine ring and it's that kind of group is called pyrimidine analogous. So in that kind of analogous group we seen here there is at least like sulfoxamine and pyrimethamine is available. There is a structure of pyrimethamine, there is a structure, there is a total what we did here, there is structure of sulfoxamine. So that is the important part, the pyrimethamine and sulfoxamine, how it works. See, the sulfoxamine or sulfonamide interferes the parasite ability to synthesize a folic acid. What they did, they are decrease the parasite ability to synthesize a folic acid. Okay. Then the pyrimethamine inhibits the reduction of folic acid to its active dihydrogen folate coenzyme, or also is called FANCIDR. Also is called FANCIDR. So that folic acid again reduce, converted dihydrofolate, and is called FANCIDR. So sulfonamide block is an incorporation of para-aminobenzoic acid to form dihydropetroic acid. Normally, sulfonamide exhibits the excellent selective toxicity because human does not synthesize vitamin folic acid, and pyrimethamine inhibits the reduction of folic acid and dihydrofolic acid to the active tetrahydrofolate coenzyme form. So here why we need a 2 combination, and that is the important part, because see that sulfoxamine first what they did, they inhibit the synthesis of folic acid, and the pyrimethamine what they did, they inhibit the reduction of folic acid. So we can say the reduction of folic acid inhibited by pyrimethamine, which form is active dihydrogen folate form, and that form is really helpful to create coenzyme, active coenzyme DHPR. That combination is really great to reduce the malarial parasite concentration in the body. So here we'll take a look about something with that kind of little bit stuff, which is I draw the one diagram of cell, and here we see what happened and which kind of drug is useful in that sense. See here, the digestive vacuole, in the digestive vacuole, if this digestive vacuole we consider, drug chloroquine, amidoquine, quinine and mefloquine is useful. If we talk about mitochondrium, mitochondrium is a powerhouse, okay, powerhouse of cell. So atovaquine is a useful when mitochondrium, if you stop the working and kill the parasite. Third one is apicoplast. So in the case of apicoplast, we have to use azithromycin, doxycycline, and the another is clindamycin. So the next part of the drug, if you wish, then you can use the cytosol. In cytosol, we can use our drug pyrimethamine and sulfoxamine, proquine, chloroproquine and dapsone. So we can use these two combination, and with dapsone combination, we have to kill the parasite, this parasite cell actually. So next, we have to see in that cycle how the parasite affect to the body. So in that case, there is guanosine. Guanosine directly attached in several steps with para-aminobenzoic acid. That para-aminobenzoic acid, if it is inhibited by sulfonamide or sulfoxamide, then it creates this kind of derivative. Again it start with glutamate. Okay, so it's prepare a dihydrofolic acid. It is dihydrofolic acid. The dihydrofolic acid, that is a pyrimethamine step. That step is the sulfoxamine step. That step is a pyrimethamine step because it reduces the dihydrogen folate reductase enzyme concentration, and that step is not formed. So ultimate we can say pyridamine or pyrimidine, it stop the formation of that food for that parasite, and if it stop the food, we indirectly kill the parasite. So I hope student that will great help to you to understand the mode of action, mechanism of action of this three class or three analogous of the compound. And thank you for watching. If you have any doubt and suggestion, please write in comment section below, and please subscribe the channel and press the bell icon to get that kind of good videos notification soon.